Welcome along to those watching in England and the millions around the world.
The millions around the world that are
We've
watching.
blown up. We've blown up. We've absolutely blown up.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone from like 2 subscribers to 20.
Oh my goodness. Actually, I think we're close to 30. Don't sell us short
The pressure is now on. We've got to deliver.
here.
Episode 9 of I Know What You Watched Last Week. Take it away.
Yeah, so the first one is House of Wax.
House of Wax. Racks?
Mix?
House
There's
of Wax
Scooby-Doo there.
remake.
Yeah, with Paris Hilton in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next one we saw was Terror Train.
Yep.
And finally, to round off this week, we have Halloween Party.
Halloween Party from the year 2000.
From the year 2000.
Yeah. No, sorry. Got it completely wrong. 2020.
Dum dum. 2020. Scrap. Not 2000. 2020.
In order, least favourite to favourite.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to think about it at all.
I have
This
no
one.
idea what you're going to say.
I
I really have no idea.
actually have to take a second. If you know what you're going to say, why don't you say that now?
My order?
Yeah.
No, I need to hear yours first.
Oh gosh, okay. I think I enjoyed Terror Train most.
Number 1 Terror Train.
Oh yeah, we normally do it the other way around, don't we?
Too late for your number 1 slip.
I've ruined my own format.
Yeah.
Okay, so then second place, House of Wax, which leaves Halloween Party in last.
Hmm.
And I feel, having said it out loud, I feel quite confident in that. Yeah, so how about you now?
In third place for me is House of Wax. In second place is Terror Train. And my number 1 is your number 3, the one and only Halloween Party.
You're kidding! You are absolutely joking!
I'm dead serious.
I can't believe it. Okay,
I am dead serious.
this should be interesting.
So what we're going to start with, because it's my number 1 and it's your number 3, and normally we start with your number 3.
Yeah,
Let's go into Terror Train first.
Terror Train,
Yeah.
which was my number 1 pick. So, it's got Jamie Lee Curtis in it,
Yes.
and it is dumb. Let me just put that out there right now. It's in first place, but it didn't have very stiff competition. So, there are so many things that made me question throughout this, but I always seem to jump ahead really quickly. So I guess just you have to have a little bit of background. There's a bunch of the graduates. Are they graduating?
Let's just say they're students.
Students having a party on a train, hence Terror Train, and it's costume party. So everyone's got their like faces covered and stuff, and the costumes are pretty cool.
Yep.
Better than I would ever expect students to actually put together, but much more entertaining to see on screen. And then it turns out they've been infiltrated by a murderer, and he's going off picking them off one by one, putting on their costumes to perform the next murder.
Well, the murderer murders one of the students outside the train before they've even entered it. And to me, it seemed like he did it in almost full view of a group of like 19 people. And that he'd not only offed him, he's also stolen his clothes and
Yeah.
put them on while, yeah, like I say, 10 plus students are waiting to get on the train, as well as the
Conductor.
Yeah. So that was a good start. I did enjoy that little bit. And his costume is effectively, he wears multiple costumes, and his first
Yeah.
one is like a Groucho Marx type.
Oh, is that what that was supposed to be? I had no
I don't
idea.
know. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be.
I remember
but
the
that's what I took it as.
lizardy looking latex full
Yeah,
thing.
I think that was supposed to be the old school swamp thing.
Okay, cool.
That's what I think it was supposed to be. I've got a question though.
Yeah.
Did we watch this movie and the others before or after the little party that I had last Tuesday?
Before?
Yeah.
I want to say before.
It's been quite a while since we saw these movies, so I'm just quite surprised at how much you're recalling. Yeah.
Well, the thing that stuck with me the whole time that I couldn't get out of my head whilst we were watching it was one of the murders takes place in the bathroom cubicle on this train.
Yeah.
And it's the person who's in that latex costume
Swamp
that I
Thing
talked
costume.
about, with a full like rubber mask on. Now there's a whole mix-up and replacement and this and that, and essentially what happens is that the conductor and one of his fellow students / friends find him, and they think he's just dead drunk, and you know he's collapsed on the floor, so he's very drunk if that's the case. And she's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll lead him off." Fair enough, but wouldn't the first thing you do when you find a comatose drunk person is take off a big rubber mask that if they vomit into is going to go nowhere except back into their mouth?
This is a party, Corin. You don't do that kind of thing at a party.
Disgusting. There's no, you know, emergency knowledge here or just general taking care of people.
My mind
going on.
has been jogged, and it definitely is, because as I like to call him Dinosaur Man when I was watching the movie, the original Swamp Thing guy. So Swamp Thing guy gets his face smashed into a mirror by a guy who's dressed like Groucho Marx. So you're not going to see that in many places. That was one of the first kills. Also, very randomly, the world's premiere magician was in this movie, the one and only David Copperfield. So after seeing him in this, I mean, when he turned up, I was like, what the hell is David Copperfield doing in the movie?
It was bizarre.
So I had to look it up, and it turns out he's not been in anything really. He's had a couple of appearances in movies, but
Right.
I don't think it even reaches 10. But he was in, for about 10 seconds, one episode of Scrubs,
Okay.
where he was absolutely hilarious in the 10 seconds that he had. And in this movie, he was the big highlight for me. So he's a magician who's on board the train as entertainment for the students.
Yeah.
And at one point when he's off stage, he goes to woo Jamie Lee Curtis. And he says something along the lines of, "Do you believe in magic?" And she says, I don't know. And he's like, "Well, maybe I have to make you a believer." And he goes over to her, or he's standing next to her, sorry, and he just magics out of the air, I think, a bag of peanuts and puts it into her hand. And Jamie Curtis is like, "Ooh, peanuts." And then David Copperfield turns, he's like, "Yeah." And behind him is a peanut dispensing machine, which you have to put a coin in and turn the lever to get the peanuts out. And he walks over to it, kneels down to it, looks back at Jamie Lee Curtis, and by magic, he just releases peanuts, takes them in his hand and gives her a look like, "I can have peanuts whenever I like, and I never have to pay."
I can definitely see why this is your last choice, because if that's the moment that you're recalling from this entire film, when he magics peanuts out of the dispenser. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear yourself right now.
He also does a magic set on stage to, you know, let's face it, a heavy disco track is heavy on the disco. He's like a disco magician. It's beautiful to see.
Yes.
So how have you gone this long without mentioning David Copperfield? Just mention a load of crap, essentially.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he was interesting. And obviously he's set up in the film to kind of be who you think the killer is as well.
As in, I'm supposed to suspect David Copperfield?
Yeah.
I never suspected him for a second.
That's what they were all talking about right before they realised it's not him, it's... If you don't want spoilers, don't listen to this.
Who is
the
it?
assistant.
Yes. And it turns out that is it a man dressed up as a woman?
Yeah, so the kid
David Copperfield's assistant.
performed a prank on another kid at school, and that sent the kid to like a mental institution, I think, and clearly they've gotten out and decided to kill all those people that sent him there.
Yeah, there's a good bit towards the end when the conductor, he hits him around the head with a shovel and out of the train, and he crunches onto a frozen riverbank and is just taken upstream.
Yeah.
'Cause
Something's
the
literally
conductor's
just-
a little bit suspicious.
Yeah, I guess. But something's literally just occurred to me, which is that he must have been David Copperfield's assistant for longer than just when they stepped on the train to establish some kind of working relationship. So he must have planned this out for a really long time, started dressing as a woman, auditioned to be David Copperfield's assistant, all in preparation.
And get the part. Must have done
and
really
get
well.
the part. He doesn't make a very attractive
This is all part
one.
of early 80s horror movies. So you mentioned costumes earlier on at the party. Do you recall any of them?
No, not really.
We had Uncle Sam, Cleopatra, a belly dancer, like a disco honey, a cowgirl, a monk, and someone wearing what I could make out to be a squid onesie, a donkey, and a gimp. So it's quite an eclectic mix of costumes. And there's also a woman wearing what seemed to be a man's pair of trousers, and out from the backside was a hand, like groping her.
Yeah, it was kind of like an Obelix type thing, but instead of white and blue stripes.
It was actually at the front, the pair of trousers
chinos.
with the hand coming out of it. The hand was coming out the front and was groping her tits. Very random.
I think it's supposed to be scratching an ass. I think the top of her cleavage is supposed to be like an ass crack above the belt of her trousers. But yeah, it was a weird, very unflattering outfit.
It was a shock for me to see Jamie Lee Curtis early on as quite potty-mouthed, because this is not long after Halloween where she's the ultimate good girl.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, she has a slightly harder edge to her, and she's swearing away, and I was shocked.
I think I preferred her in this.
I think I did too. Not that I dislike her in Halloween at all, but yeah.
I prefer
like
her
her
not screaming as much. Yeah.
And it's just part of the genre.
Yeah.
I think we pretty much covered Terror Train.
Yeah.
Let's get into the remake of House of Wax, which is my least favourite.
I've never seen Paris Hilton act in anything.
So we've got Paris Hilton, she's a triple threat. She's a reality star, a pop singer, and an actress. Is there anything that she can't do?
Reality star, yeah. / socialite, I suppose, but I don't know about singer or actor.
I've seen worse performances.
I was going to say,
I've
actually,
seen much worse performances.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I've seen a lot worse. But I think that might just also come from her being comfortable around cameras and stuff.
Yeah, she's besties with Alicia Cuthbert in this movie. And we also have, of, I think, One Tree Hill fame, Chad Michael Murray, who plays the bad boy. And you can tell he's a bad boy because he smokes cigarettes, he throws beer bottles at trucks, and he also throws American footballs too hard at other men. So he likes to throw stuff around, which is the hallmark of any true bad boy.
Right. I thought that was just the hallmark of a true American. According to Tommy Wiseau, throwing a ball back and forth is quintessentially American.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was just terribly cast.
You think he was terribly cast?
I think he was my least
he was definitely
acceptable
acting as a bad boy.
Performance. Yeah, it just felt really fake. That also jogs my memory about something else, which is so weird to be part of the story. That at one point, because he's the brother of, what did you say she was called?
Alicia Cuthbert.
Right, Alicia. And at one point he says to her, "That's just the way it is. You're the good sibling and I'm the evil one."
Yeah, I'm the evil twin, you're the good twin.
And I was just thinking, so apparently this is something that their parents have said. I was like, why would you call your child evil? Like, he wasn't a mass murderer. He's a bit unruly and probably not, you know...
We should just be grateful for any backstory in a movie like this, I think. And
Okay.
to the point where it didn't even register with me. I mean, this is not the kind of movie where I need a backstory of anybody.
The grossest part probably was when Alicia just kind of falls face first into a pile of decomposing roadkill.
Yeah, that bit was pretty cool. Alicia Cuthbert's character slides into all that disgusting pile after they've just got up late from like a tent sleepover.
Yeah.
In the middle, they're on the way
Camp
to
out.
they're on the way to a game, and they need to stop off halfway through. Now, during their camp out, the bad guy from the movie turns up in his truck, and Chad Michael Murray throws a beer bottle at it, and they're all, you know, the truck's trying to intimidate them and all this, and he drives off. And before this, they'd just been kind of sitting around having a few beers, no drugs involved or anything like that. But somehow they managed to sleep too late and miss the game, and they're all complaining about, you know, last night. And I'm thinking to myself, this was ultra tame. There's no way you'd be hungover or anything like this.
Definitely didn't show enough of a party night for that to be.
This was the
All we
tamest
saw
party
was-
I've ever seen in a teen horror flick.
We just saw them on a home camera device sleeping, so and it was dark. It's not like they went to bed in the light. But anyway, let's get over the late sleep in, shall we?
That was a rubbish party. The guy that plays the bad guy, I tried to prompt you during the movie. I said, "Do you recognise him?" And you didn't. It was Brian Van Holt who plays Bobby in a TV show called Cougar Town, which is pretty good. And I couldn't see past Bobby in this movie.
I love him in Cougar Town.
Yeah.
And he seems like someone that would be fun to meet.
It's only because this is the only time I think this is the only other time I think I've seen him apart from Cougar Town. So
yeah, I didn't mind it, but yeah,
No.
I wouldn't class him as like a great chameleon.
a
so to
chameleon.
speak.
Yeah, we also have in this movie Jared Padalecki, who is in the remake of Friday the 13th. He's the guy that's looking for his sister, I believe, and he goes and essentially crashes the douchebag guy's party in Friday the 13th. And in this movie, he's kind of, at least for the first, 40% of the movie, portrayed like the sensible guy. But then it's fast forward, when they get into the House of Wax, he starts walking around. Instead of being the sensible guy, he just starts
Oh god, that drove
shaking
me up the
everything
wall.
about and like laughing to himself and picking up tools and just
Yeah, so
waving them
they-
over his head.
They break in essentially because no one's there at the House of Wax. They break in. He starts by like chipping some of the wall off because it's wax, and then he starts picking up pieces of very detailed crafted wax objects and just like gets his light around. It's like
Yeah, as far as
I
I'm
was like,
concerned,
that is so disrespectful.
yeah, that behaviour, you're going to die in a horror movie. He deserved to die. I wanted him to die after seeing
But
that.
it was so bizarre because, like you said at the beginning, so it's Alicia's character's boyfriend, and at the beginning he was shown as, like you said, really nice guy, just your typical straight-laced boyfriend character. But then, yeah, he started doing that. Then they went and almost seemingly stole some fan belt when they needed that. Just couldn't be bothered to wait an extra 20 minutes or something, which
Yeah,
again I thought was it's just rude.
I was glad to see his comeuppance, and one of the things I did enjoy was the way that he dies.
That was pretty cool.
He gets put into a contraption, and this maniac starts like boiling wax in the pipes or something like this, and he's got the pipes around his
Just
head or
all
something,
around
all
him.
around
Yeah.
Jared Padalecki. So all of this boiling wax sprays out onto Jared Padalecki's body,
It just completely coats him.
and before
Yeah.
that he's prepping Jared for the waxing,
Yeah.
and he waxes his entire face, so all of his facial hair
Hair is
including
all gone.
eyebrows, little bit of stubble that he would have had all clean off
Yeah.
while he's been injected, so that he doesn't move or anything like that, been sedated.
That was quite grim and entertaining, that
Yeah.
kill.
I like the look of that, of the
if you're
nutty
entertained
killer.
by that kind of thing, which
Which
I'm
we clearly
assuming
are.
most of our
Yeah.
viewers will be. Yes.
You haven't mentioned something which to me would be glaringly obvious to mention.
Well, if it's so obvious, then what is it?
In this movie, Alicia Cuthbert's character takes a piss in a bush. And every time I see this, you had an audition
Years
for a
ago.
movie
Where I had to
where
play
where you
like a
had where you had to
fishmonger's
take a piss in the
girlfriend.
bush. And
Take
every time
piss in bush.
every time I see a girl going relieving herself out in nature, it just takes me back to that.
And also, can I point out, obviously, I wasn't actually pissing in a bush.
No, she's
for the
not that
audition.
method. She was just kneeling in front of me while I had the script up at my face, trying not to laugh at this this pan English northern accent. Weren't you
Nailed
supposed to be
it.
like a fishmonger or something?
That's what I said, a fishmonger's girlfriend.
Yeah. Oh, gonna take piss in bush now.
Yeah.
My name's Gilly.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I can't believe I didn't get it.
Yeah. Who did get that part? I need to look it
I
up.
have no idea. I've never heard of that project again. Good times.
Something else I remember from this movie is there was like a perv hillbilly. He was definitely a perv. He was a good guy in the end, sort of. Sort
Yeah,
of.
again, I think he was supposed to be like a kind of red herring thing, wasn't he?
He's just your classic hillbilly.
Yeah, because they instantly think that he might be just off.
So some of the reason this is bottom for me is I believe this movie would have easily had the biggest budget. It's the most modern one, and it's called House of Wax. And I was quite underwhelmed with the House of Wax, the actual,
Right.
the interior,
Okay.
things like this. I didn't find the wax models very creepy. The only really good bit I could think of with a waxed model is when they've just freshly done Jared Padalecki. And the comic relief guy walks into the House of Wax. He finds him. He says, "Oh, what's happened to you?" And he starts like just picking at his skin, and then you know, his waxy skin
That was
comes
pretty
away
gross.
and his real skin comes away. And
you
that
just
bit was
see his
really
bare
cool.
flesh.
There's definitely cool bits in
And
this.
his eyes are still, so it's like he's still
His
alive,
eyes are moving.
trapped in
Yeah.
wax.
That was a good bit.
So he's just gonna die slowly, which is
And
nice.
Brian Van Holt, he he pliers off Alicia Cuthbert's finger through a drain. That
yeah,
effect was
because
pretty
she's
cool.
trying to get attention from her bad boy brother.
So there's definitely cool bits in this, and I'm not saying it's a horrible movie, but for me, when I consider that this is from the same people that remade House on Haunted Hill, a movie that I absolutely love, and I compare them, I just love House on Haunted Hill so much, and I was quite excited for House of Wax when this came out. I've only actually seen this once before, and I remember just not loving it, so I've never revisited it until I got it recently and we both watched it.
Yeah, I think maybe just there was something about the overall vibe that didn't quite hit home, or possibly changed a bit throughout and was just a bit incoherent by the end of it.
Yeah, I don't need this movie to be smart or anything. I just wanted it to be more entertaining. Essentially, is what I'm getting at. I wasn't bored, but I'm not really that hard to entertain when it comes to a pretty silly horror movie, and this just didn't deliver the goods for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to anyone or want to watch it again.
I'd recommend it for a few of the kills. They're worth seeing, probably. And now we finally made it to my number one and your bottom of the pile.
Yeah,
Halloween Party.
I still can't believe it.
Fill us in on what you recall from this movie.
Okay, so there's they called it a meme, but that's not what I would consider a meme. I would say
No.
it's more like some sort of
It's a
virus
It's a
game.
virus.
Yeah, a virus, and it pops up and it asks you, what's your greatest fear?
Yeah, it opens with two girls, Zoe and Grace, and that before they get into the game, they're going over holiday photos and perving over topless men. So that's how it opens. Yeah.
Yeah, so this virus pops up on one of their computers, and you have to fill in your greatest fear before the time runs out, and it says if you don't fill in your greatest fear, then you will be killed.
There we go. That's pretty much the entire story of the movie. So with the beginning that I've just said, the two characters, after they're perving on the topless men, a frat guy walks in, whose name I shall reveal a bit later on, and the first thing he says is, "This is where the roofie party is at?" So straight away, we've got date rape joke. Yep.
Oh, that's it. I thought you were going to continue.
It's not something I was expecting. And then, about 4 minutes in, this virus is asking one of the girls what her greatest fear is, and I think she lies a couple of times, and the virus can tell, so it won't accept your answers in the 60 seconds if it can tell that you're lying. And she finally gets down to the last 3 seconds, and she finally types in vagina spiders. That's her greatest fear.
Yep.
Another thing that I wasn't expecting whatsoever. Unfortunately, we don't get to see said vagina spiders in the movie. We see spiders, but not in the way that it's explained, really.
So even when we were watching it, you clearly reacted. You were like, vagina spiders, like, what is this? And actually, I know someone personally.
Who's had vagina spiders?
No, who has a phobia of that. It's not a thing. It's not possible. It's just a phobia, Johnny.
My mind was about to be blown, and you took it away from me.
No, I know
You
someone has the
absolutely
same
took it away
fear.
from me.
But that makes me wonder, like, is this actually just some common fear? I thought she was just, a bit bonkers for having that as a phobia, but...
I can't believe you know someone who had a fear of vagina spiders.
Yeah, to the point where I've even seen, like, a weird hand-drawn image of a spider crawling out of a girl's panties.
When this
Could
character...
have lived without that image.
When this character reveals, by typing in that that's her fear,
Yeah.
her best friend just says to her, essentially what you just said to me, that they don't exist. And the friend responds with, I believe her name is Grace, don't know that just yet. She responds with, yeah, they like it in there because it's warm and beautiful. This is what you get within 5 minutes. How is it not number one?
How is it number one?
So the girl's asking the questions, or basically doesn't believe in these spiders. Her name is Zoe, and then she reveals that her big fear is something called Farmer Dell, which is a pig farmer. a pig that is a farmer in like a child's nursery rhyme book, and this is what she's scared of, and it's her time to, you know, play the game, the virus game. She doesn't bother typing in what her fear is, which means that her fear is going to come to life. Next thing we see her, she's at work, and she's stalked by Pigman.
Pigman.
Yeah, he's in the corridor. There's like pretty cool shots,
there's a couple
CCTV
of
shots
I don't know.
of Pigman and a dead body in the corridor, which gets dragged off and things like this. And Pigman obviously offs Zoe.
Yeah. No,
Sorry, babe. Quickly, when she is at work, so when Zoe goes to work after leaving Grace, and they've already been talking about vagina spiders and all this stuff, Zoe gets a text message off of Grace about going to a club tonight and, quote, meeting guys with trucks, to which Zoe replies, "Yay, let's get abortions this weekend."
oh yeah, oh, that was so weird.
So now, this is why I'm listing all these things. The
That
date
is
rape
so
joke,
weird.
the vagina spiders, a joke about abortion. You're getting all this within 10 minutes. Now, the fact is, a lot of people do actually speak like this. You know, people are pretty blasé with their friends. So I kind of admire that he's put it in. I don't think he's done it to be smart, by the way. I just think, you know, he's just not that bright. But I did admire the balls to put these really taboo things in there. And
So
it's
weird.
done in enough of a dumb, jokey way that you just kind of like roll your eyes at it more than anything.
Now, my biggest problem with this film is that, yeah, I remember the shot you're talking about with the CCTV and the body being dragged out of shot and stuff, but I've seen it before. It's good, but it's used a lot. And there's this concept of this film is done before. No, I just didn't think there was anything unique.
I get
about
all
it.
that, but get this. Grace then goes to meet a guy called Spencer. He's a computer nerd, and he's hanging out in his bunker filled with other computer nerds. And Grace walks in because she needs help with the virus. And as soon as she walks in, you get, "Guys, oh my god, look, it's a girl." And someone's like, "Ooh, a girl, a live one. Why aren't you pixelated? Please accept my beautiful virginity. Can I smell your hair? Can I put my hair in your mouth? Can I put your hair in my mouth?" And then someone goes, "Whoa, a girl, take a photo."
That is a lot that you've just quoted.
This film just
Clearly
delivers.
stuck
It
with
delivers
you.
in every scene. And when he does that photo thing, there's another nerd that just like starts grinning and nodding his head at the girl. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, but the whole point is that they're pulling her leg because they've hacked into her phone and seen her texts already, and she was talking with her friend, and her friend was like, "Of course they'll help you, they're nerds and you're a girl." So they're taking the piss of that.
After going to the nerd bunker, we then go to the other end of the spectrum.
Nerd bunker.
And Spencer and Grace leave the nerd bunker, and outside they bump into the Kappa frat guy, Court. And he walks up to Grace and he's like, "Yo, you coming tonight, girl? Spencer, what's up, brah? You looking sexual. You come by too, okay, Broheim?" This is gold. This is screenwriting gold.
It was entertaining in the same way that all of those phone app computer horrors are.
But what about the
entertaining.
dialogue? I feel like you didn't notice anything when we were watching it. My mind was just blowing. So the guy that I've mentioned that walks in at the beginning and says, "Yo, is this where the roofie party's at?" He's one of Court's frat bros, and his name is Bubbles in the Tub, aka
Oh, yeah.
Fart Party, because he blew off in a hot tub. And that's the only name that he goes by.
That's just
Brilliant.
disgusting.
So the reasons that I like this movie, apart from all of that brilliance that I've just mentioned, all of that gold, and there's more of that, by the way. I mean, maybe you've got a problem with Canadians, Karen, because this is a Canadian movie. So we've kind of been explaining what it's all about. Boom, boom.
Let's move swiftly on from that one.
What's great about this movie is there were legitimate scary beings in it. So they had these things that they found that live under their school called balloon babies. And there's a scene where a projector is playing, and on the projector, Spencer and Grace are watching this girl, I think, in a psychiatric ward, and she has a fake mouth, as in a mouth that she's coloured in on a piece of paper and put string into to put over her ears, and she has this doll, and its mouth is just a mess of jagged teeth put in no particular order. After that, another thing called a balloon baby is this multi-limbed man. So there's a
Yeah.
man who has full limbs and limbs that are, cut off and stuff like this. And you also had the inside out man, a guy, so a human, not an alien or anything like this, just a human being who's inside out and he lives in a bag.
Yeah, because he's
And-
got no skin, protective
Yeah,
barrier.
and the way they shot the chatterer guy, I'm calling him, because his teeth, he would go up close to the camera and his teeth would chatter basically. He had like maybe 3 pairs of teeth as well. And all of this was done, no CGI, it's all real effects. And the problem was, because I think they were all really cool, but everything in this movie was shot in the daytime, so none of the scary shots were done at night. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
it's like a budget thing or if it just wasn't conscious. The only scene that was really cool, which was shot in the dark, is when Spencer and Grace, they enter the tunnels under the school.
Yeah.
And as they're going to it, the editing, absolutely love the editing of them going into this little bunker. And they come to the end of the corridor and they find the multi-limbed man just on a bed, kind of like
Yeah.
asleep, and he wakes up and like does this torturous scream in their face. And they turn around and run away, and also it's like night vision. And the thing with the fake mouth just appears out of nowhere in the night vision, and it had a really like good sound behind it and things. And they had these moments of genuine, like could have been genuine creepiness, and they had really good monsters. But as I say, it was all in the daytime, and the dialogue was so ridiculous / funny, hilarious, that there's also a joke about ISIS. Grace asks Spencer, "What's your biggest fear?" And he's like, "Bears." And she says, "Oh, that's stupid." And he's like, "That's stupid? There are bears walking around now and they could kill us at any time. And we're worried about ISIS? That's just stupid." So let's throw ISIS along with the date rape and the vagina spiders.
Gosh.
And let's get abortions this weekend. One of the other things that I've missed out is, so the guy Bubbles in the tub,
Yeah.
he doesn't type in his biggest fear, and it turns out that his fear is like a paedophile from his childhood who tried to snatch him from a sandpit. So Bubbles in the tub is at school as a young adult,
Yeah.
and in the distance he can see this grabber man, and it keeps coming towards him. And then the school's out, and
That
he's-
was very much It Follows style. I found.
and he was queuing at like a hot dog stand or something like that. And he goes, he's looking behind him, and he keeps seeing the man like getting closer and closer. And then Bubbles in the tub, he puts his hand in his pocket to get change or something like that, or cash to pay for the hot dog. And he pulls his hand out, and he's got some sand, like a shard of glass and a marble. And I thought that's just a really cool touch that it's taken him back to his childhood. And again, the fear of being grabbed by a man as a child, basically a paedophile fear, is another, quite taboo thing to put into a movie. It's another thing that I really admired. I thought it was a great scene, but again, it was just out of place with all the silliness that you couldn't take it
Such a weird
seriously.
mix.
Yeah, but
And
this,
all that's stuck in my mind are the not so good aspects. But the more you talk about it, the more I suppose I could be given some more props than I was thinking, because you're right. I thought
because the thing is, House of Wax would have had way more resources than this movie, so that's why I'm kind of like basing it on that as well.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't think this movie was poorly shot or anything like that. It was pretty standardly shot, apart from the one that I mentioned where they're going into the bunker. I thought that was really cool. And yeah, the horror scenes I thought showing the monsters were pretty commendable, if I'm honest. And again, no CGI. I love that. And
that's awesome.
And the monsters did look way better than anything CGI that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fake at all. It's pretty much, it's based in real. The multi-limbed guy, they pulled that off amazingly.
really well. There's also a pretty creepy scene when she is in the bath, and then you kind of get the feeling that one of these evil beings is going to pop out and get her in a second. That was pretty well done, I thought.
Yeah. Colt, the leader of the frat party, the frat bro, at one point he goes upstairs to take a dump, an open door dump, I might add, and he's shouting out to his other frat bros because he thinks he can hear them, but what he's actually hearing is the fake-mouthed monster. And all of a sudden it just appears in between his legs. It shoots him out of the toilet with his giant eyes and stuff. So yeah, he gets killed while sitting on the toilet, having an open door dump.
Yeah.
Another first. As I briefly mentioned in a previous scene, Spencer mentions that his biggest fear is bears. And when we get to the end of the movie, it has a very Final Destination feel. You're on the plane, and I think Spencer has a premonition, possibly. Maybe I'm making that up. Maybe I'm thinking of Final Destination too much. But anyway, they're on a plane, and Court hears an Asian couple behind him, an older Asian couple talking in their language, and it's all subtitled, and the husband is telling his wife, or she's asking him, shall I say, what his biggest fear is, and he says bears, and then she says to him, well, that's stupid. So it was like a tie-in, and then all of a sudden, from behind them, from out of the airplane toilet, comes a bear. And then the spiders start running, the vagina spiders come.
You missed out the whole point of why they suddenly appear is because
I got excited.
The virus has popped up on the screens on the aeroplane for all the passengers. And so obviously a whole bunch of them aren't going to type in the correct answer, and so those things would come and kill everyone.
And yeah, the bear wasn't awful. They only show him for a smidgen of time, so you don't get enough time to like see if it was like really badly done or whatever. But that was I really enjoyed this movie. And to top it all off, once the credits start to roll, after about the first 45 seconds to 1 minute of immediate music, it then goes into like a 70s porno track. That's the only way I can really describe it.
The bizarre nature of this film.
Yeah. So with all of those horror elements that I mentioned, which I really enjoyed, for me this film was 100 times better than Smile, Talk to Me, Barbarian, a million times better than like Midsummer and the recent Halloweens and the recent Exorcist. Given what it's got to work with and stuff, it put the other films to shame. So yeah, kudos. And also, just one more thing, I have no idea why this movie is called Halloween Party.
No, I do, because those five, I think it's five.
It happens for about 4 minutes.
Things. No, the 5 balloon babies who grew up, they all had masks all the time to hide their deformities.
Disfigurements, yeah.
And so it was a nickname that they'd been given, Halloween Party, because they were always in Halloween costumes. I guess what I was getting at, I was sucked in by the title, I guess. Thought I was just going to see, typical party thing, and like a guy with a knife, and it was not that whatsoever. No.
So that was my number one. The guy that wrote and directed it was Jay Dahl, so I salute Jay Dahl.